Okay, let's be real for a second.
Uh-huh.
Scrolling through social media these days, it can feel
Well,
like a competition, right?
yeah.
Like everyone else is living this perfect life,
Yeah,
and you start to feel like you're falling behind.
definitely.
And we're kind of diving into that feeling today
Okay.
with this episode we found called "Why You Should Refuse to Compare Yourself to Others,"
Interesting.
and it really got me thinking about
Yeah.
how this whole comparison thing affects us, especially now when we're like constantly seeing these picture perfect moments.
It's so true. And I think, what's interesting about this episode is that it goes like beyond the usual self-help stuff,
Oh, okay.
and it gets into some pretty deep reasons why we should just ditch comparing ourselves to others.
Right.
And the first one
Cool.
might actually surprise you.
Okay. I'm all ears.
It comes straight from the Bible.
Really? Okay. Now I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Yeah, so the episode is arguing that comparing ourselves, it's not just, not a good idea. It's actually like spiritually harmful.
Wow.
And they're drawing on this verse from Philippians 3.14,
Okay.
where Paul's talking about,
Yeah.
pressing on toward the goal, right?
Yeah.
And in the context of that, he's talking about his own spiritual journey,
Right.
his own race.
Yeah.
And he's very clearly saying he's not looking back or
Okay.
comparing himself to others.
Yeah.
And the episode is suggesting that just like Paul,
Uh-huh.
each of us, we're on this unique spiritual path, this race,
Yeah.
where the only competition is with ourselves.
That's a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
So it's not about like, keeping up with everyone else.
Right,
In
exactly.
our spiritual eyes.
Yeah.
But more about focusing on like our own personal growth.
Exactly. Yeah, when we're constantly looking over at what other people are doing,
Uh-huh.
at their progress or what we think are their successes.
Right. We lose sight of our own journey.
Yeah.
And the unique purpose that God has for each of us.
Yeah. Right.
We end up running someone else's race.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get like wrapped up in what everyone else is doing or achieving
Yeah.
and forget about like
Absolutely.
our own goals.
Yeah.
But the episode, it doesn't just stop there, right?
It don't.
It also talks about the
Yeah.
everyday consequences
Yeah.
of comparing ourselves to other people.
Exactly. And this leads us to the second reason the episode gives
Okay.
for why we should ditch comparison.
Okay.
It breeds envy and jealousy.
Yeah. Yeah.
These little sneaky emotions that can really just
Oh, yeah.
steal our peace and joy.
It's funny you should mention that because
Yeah.
I swear, social media,
Oh, I know.
it's like
It's like a breeding ground.
a breeding ground.
For envy. For envy.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been scrolling through like everyone's vacation pictures and just been like,
Totally.
why not me?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
It's so relatable.
Yeah.
And the episode uses that exact example.
Does it really?
Yeah, it points out that envy is really rooted in
Mhm.
this sense of scarcity.
Oh, okay.
It's that feeling that there's not enough good stuff to go around.
Yeah.
So if someone else has it, I
Yeah.
must be losing out.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful emotion, and it can be tough to shake.
Yeah, for sure.
But the episode reminds us that these feelings, they're not just unpleasant,
Uh-huh.
They're actually like addressed in the 10 Commandments.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yes, specifically,
All right.
thou shalt not covet.
Wow. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Coveting, it really does
It does.
warp our perspective.
It does.
Instead of like
Yeah.
appreciating all the good things we have.
Yeah.
We're focused on what we lack.
Exactly.
Mm.
And that's why the episode suggests this simple
Okay.
but really powerful thing
Yeah.
to combat comparison,
Mm.
cultivate a daily practice of gratitude.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like instead of focusing on what you don't have,
Right.
you can start to appreciate all the good things you already have.
Yeah.
It's such a simple,
Yeah.
like a shift in how you think.
It is. Yeah.
But I can really see how powerful that would be.
Yeah, it can be really powerful.
Yeah.
And, shifting our focus like that,
Yeah.
that's actually a really important part
Uh-huh.
of the next reason the episode gives
Okay.
for ditching comparison.
Okay.
It argues that comparing ourselves to others, it actually distracts us from our true purpose.
Now that's That's interesting.
Yeah.
And they actually use a story from the Bible
Yeah.
to illustrate this point, right?
Yes, they do.
Like something about Peter comparing himself to one of the other disciples.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that story where Peter, he's curious about what's going to happen to this other disciple.
Yeah.
And he asks Jesus,
Ah.
what about him?
Yeah.
And Jesus' response is, it's so good.
Yeah. What'd he say?
He says, what is that to you? You follow me.
Oh, I love that. It's like so simple,
Yeah,
but so powerful.
it is.
It's like he's saying,
Yeah.
stop worrying about what everyone else is doing
Exactly.
and just focus on your own path.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
The episode points out that this story,
Uh-huh.
it holds this really powerful lesson
Okay.
for us when we're constantly looking to the side and in the race.
Yeah.
We get distracted.
Right.
And we lose time and energy
Yeah.
that we could be using to develop our own gifts and talents.
Right. Yeah. I get the whole run your own race idea.
Yeah.
But isn't there is there ever a place for, a little healthy competition?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like, doesn't it sometimes push us
Yeah.
to be better?
Well, and the episode actually acknowledges that.
Okay.
That there are times when
Yeah.
little friendly competition can be motivating, for sure.
Okay.
But the key here is to make sure
Yeah.
that it doesn't turn into this constant comparison thing
Right.
that steals our joy
Yeah.
and makes us feel like we're not enough.
Makes us feel inadequate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The real challenge is to focus on becoming the best version of ourselves, not on outdoing someone else.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, okay. So how do we actually apply that idea
Yeah.
of focusing on our own path and resisting that distraction of comparison?
Right.
What kind of advice does the episode offer for that?
Well, it suggests setting personal goals
Okay.
that are aligned with our own passions and our
Right.
strengths.
Right.
But here's the key.
Oh.
We need to measure our progress against our own starting point, not against someone else's milestones.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so easy to compare yourself to people who
Oh, I know.
at different stages in their journey.
Yeah, exactly.
And you forget that everyone's path is different.
It is.
And what really matters
Yeah.
is that you're,
Yeah.
moving forward in a way that feels right for you.
You got it. And speaking of getting caught up in comparisons,
Yeah.
this leads us to the fourth
Okay.
and final point
I'd
the
like
episode makes about why we should,
Yeah.
refuse to compare ourselves to others.
Yeah.
It can really erode our self-esteem.
Ooh, yeah. This is where it gets kind of personal, right?
It does.
We've all been there, that feeling of
Right.
not being good enough
Yeah.
or smart enough or successful enough. And it's just because we're measuring ourselves against
Yeah.
someone else's yardstick.
Exactly. And the episode acknowledges that
Yeah.
this constant comparison, it can really lead to these feelings of inadequacy
Mhm.
and low self-worth,
Mhm.
but it also offers this really powerful antidote.
Okay. I like antidotes. What is it?
Your value
Yeah.
isn't determined by how you stack up against other people,
Right.
but by who you are in God's eyes.
Yeah. That is so powerful.
It is.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking that,
Yeah,
our worth is based on
it is.
how much we achieve
Yeah.
or how we measure up to,
Yeah.
other
But-
people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the episode really drives home the point
Okay.
that anchoring our self-worth in comparison
Yeah.
is setting ourselves up for failure.
Right. Because there's always going to be someone out there who seems to be doing better than us in some area of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the truth is,
Uh-huh.
each of us is unique
Yeah.
and valuable simply because we are God's creation.
Right.
And the episode actually quotes a line
Oh.
that I think is really worth repeating here.
Okay, let's hear it.
It says, refuse to compare. Instead, embrace your uniqueness.
Oh, I love that.
It's good, right?
It's such a great mantra
It is.
to remember when we're,
Yeah.
feeling down on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Comparing ourselves
Totally.
to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of powerful reminders,
Yeah.
the episode also reminds us that we are
Yes.
fearfully and wonderfully made,
Yes.
which is a
Yeah.
phrase that comes from Psalm 139.14.
That's right.
And it speaks to
Yeah.
how much intentionality
Yeah.
and care
Yeah.
went into our creation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that verse always gives me chills.
Me too.
It's such a beautiful reminder. of our inherent worth and value.
Exactly. And to help us really internalize that truth,
Yeah.
the episode offers a couple of practical tips.
Okay, I'm always up for a good practical tip.
Okay, so the first one
Yeah?
is to use daily affirmations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like phrases like,
Yeah.
I am enough as I am,
Okay.
or I am worthy of love and respect.
I like those, yeah.
Yeah, and repeating these positive statements
Yeah?
can actually start to
Yeah.
rewire our thinking and
Wow.
help us develop a stronger sense of self-worth.
You know, it sounds kind of cheesy at first,
It does.
but I can see how it could be
Oh, it can be.
really helpful.
Yeah.
It's like planting those positive seeds in your mind
Totally.
and then
Right.
like watering them with consistent practice.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And the second tip the episode suggests
Okay.
is to meditate
Uh-huh.
on scriptures that reinforce our worth.
Okay.
Spending time reflecting on verses that speak to our value in God's eyes.
Right.
It can be so grounding
Yeah.
and help us remember who we truly are.
Right. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Let's recap those 4 powerful reasons why we should just ditch the comparison game.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so first,
Yeah.
comparison goes against God's design for us.
Yeah, we're not meant to be in competition with each other,
Right.
but to run our own unique race.
Yeah.
Focus on becoming the best versions of ourselves.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, second.
Second, comparison breeds envy and jealousy, which steal our peace, rob us of gratitude,
Yeah.
and make it impossible to really appreciate what we have.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, third.
Third, comparison distracts us from our true purpose.
Exactly. It keeps us from developing our own unique gifts and talents and from pursuing our passions with wholehearted enthusiasm.
Yeah. And finally.
And finally, comparison erodes our self-esteem,
Oh.
making us question our worth. Instead of embracing who we are in God's eyes,
Yeah.
perfectly imperfect
Yeah.
and wonderfully made.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was a really great summary.
Thanks.
And you know what strikes me about this episode is that it doesn't just point out the problem, right? It actually gives us a way forward.
Oh, okay.
It gives us tools
Yeah.
and a new way of looking at things so we can break free from this comparison trap.
I couldn't agree more. It's so powerful just to remember that we have a choice,
We do.
We don't have to let comparison
Yeah.
just run our lives
Right.
and dictate how we feel.
Totally.
I can choose a different path.
We could.
One that's full of
Yeah.
gratitude and self-acceptance
Yeah.
and just really focusing on our purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And this episode, it really focuses on
Yeah.
these faith-based reasons for avoiding comparison. But I think,
a lot of these ideas, they apply.
Yeah.
Even if you're, not coming from a religious background.
Right.
The truth is,
Yeah.
constant comparison, it can really be harmful
Yeah.
for
yeah.
anyone, regardless of what they believe.
That's a really good point. It's a universal struggle.
It is.
Okay, so before we wrap up
Yeah.
this deep dive,
Okay.
I have one final thought
Okay.
I wanted to share.
Yeah.
The episode does a great job
Yeah.
of explaining why comparison's a trap,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really go into the how of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we actually overcome it?
Right. Exactly.
What are the practical antidotes to comparison?
That's a really good question.
What practices or
Yeah.
mindsets or even communities
Yeah.
can help us,
Yeah.
stay focused on our own journey?
I love that question.
Yeah.
I think that's something we could all,
Benefit from really exploring.
yeah, maybe it's about,
Yeah.
surrounding ourselves with people
Yeah.
who lift us up
Yeah.
instead of,
Yeah.
making us feel less than.
Right.
Or maybe it's about
Yeah.
taking a break from social media
Yeah.
and spending more time in nature
Oh, yeah.
and just connecting with ourselves. It
Yeah.
could even be about finding those creative outlets
Yeah.
that help us,
Yeah.
express our talents
Yeah.
and our passion
Absolutely.
without feeling like
Yeah.
we need to compare ourselves to others.
Those are all such good ideas.
Yeah.
It's really about
Yeah.
cultivating this sense of inner security
Yeah.
and self-worth.
Right.
That doesn't depend on what other people think
Yeah.
or on comparing ourselves to others.
Exactly. So to our listener, remember this. You are unique.
Yeah.
You are valuable and you have something
Yeah.
special to offer.
You do.
Don't let that comparison trap
Yeah.
steal your joy
Hooray.
or dim your shine.
Yeah, embrace your journey.
Yeah.
Run your own race
Yeah.
with confidence and and joy,
Yeah.
you are more than enough.
You are.
Just as you are.
Just as you are.
And remember, we're all in this together.
We are.
So let's support each other,
Yeah.
encourage each other, celebrate each other's successes, and remind one another that we are all enough.
Yes,
We
Julie.
are just as we are.
Just as we are.